Well, good evening to Mark Bayersky YouTube podcast, all about ITV and what's really going on. Have I ever made a video with regards to anything to do with mainstream TV? Well, really, I've talked about the industry, my personal experiences, and I think it's a great day to talk about the actual mainstream everything, TV, everything that's mainstream. And this is an absolute, for me, it feels like what I'm watching, what's being pumped out day in, day out through all mainstream media and not just mainstream, but all the other streams, all the other podcasts everywhere. It's all about Philip Schofield at the moment. Another kind of like memory blast of a terrible man who I remember I once witnessed in. I was only young at the time, but I was with my first wife, and we were in Leeds. It was one of the most desirable places to go to, the place where everybody went. And I remember going there. It was called Flying Pizza at Round Hay, and we were sat down eating, and this guy walked through the door in his silly pants and with his cigar and his glasses and two dolly birds at either side, and everybody was smiling and pointing, and I got a cold shiver down my spine. Anyway, it's funny because I knew the breaking news was going to happen prior, because I used to read for quite a few ITV people who were in ITV. So I actually had dinner with a friend at the time who was really quite high at the top of ITV. So we sat down at in a London cafe, and I told him my story about that disgusting subhuman being. And he was telling me the story, and I said to him, how come nobody's ever talked about this? How come it was never mentioned? You know, even people like me who weren't in that industry, even we knew about it. We all knew about it. We lived in West Yorkshire. I could tell you stories about that disgusting human being who had a nightclub, and people know this story. Well, if you were local, because I lived in Huddersfield, but I was a professional dancer, so I used to dance at all the nightclubs. And one such story is that whenever you were misbehaving in Jimmy Savile's nightclub, it was known that he would take you downstairs with his bouncers and chain you up and either give you a beating or did something that, you know, you'd live for the rest of your life to regret. So this idea that everybody's coming out now about Philip Schofield, oh my God, and it all needs cleaning up. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to listen to all of these stories. And we know why these stories are coming out. Well, most of us understand that. The majority of people who just watch TV and have no idea what's going on under the disguise of an MK Ultra and bread and circuses. But it's interesting because when I was a young lad, I'd just finished with my my marriage after 7 years, and we used to watch this TV program, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was called Blind Date. And my friend Paul Dyson and Yvonne Dyson said, go on it, go on it. And I went, oh, Dad, go on it. Yeah, go on it. You'll be amazing. So I went down for the interview, and, you know, it was 3 or 4 interviews later and in London, and I ended up being on the show. So unbeknownst to me, they'd already planned of me being on the show anyway. So I think going through all of those interviews with all the other, you know, people who were there trying to get on, I think Ted, who was kind of like the guy who, I don't know whether they call him a runner but he was basically behind the scenes looking after us all. And the show that they wanted me on was the final, I think it was the final episode of the series. Why? Because they already knew that I was going to be what they needed for the show. So ITV, when you hear all these people saying, you know, Eamon Holmes, and, you know, don't get me wrong, there's some great people I've read, and I am still very good friends with Kerry Katona. I read for her as a psychic for many years, but everybody knew that this is a cesspit, and what it's all about is numbers. It's all about numbers. So my story, which was when I finally won the show, and myself and Julie went to Germany, it was clear to see that all they were interested in is the negative. No positive, just negative. Everything is about the negative. And negative is what TV wants. It wants negative. And it wants negative doesn't always mean bad. It just means bad energy to me. It's lies, it's manipulations. And mainstream TV is predominantly 90% lies, and it's all about the dream for them is basically whatever happens, if it's good TV, it's good ratings, which means that they're in with a job, and that's what they're there to do. So when we went to Germany, it was clear to see that everything was pushed upon shock, basically shock energy. So they're looking for any sign of weakness, any sign of anger, any sign of nastiness. They're looking for that. They might do shows where happiness was on there, but they're predominantly looking for shock energy. And it's exactly what Scylla said to me when we got into the lift after the show. And after the show, I felt bad. I knew what I'd done was partly going to be a huge issue in my life. I had this scary feeling inside. And I look back now, and I was completely influenced as a kid, completely influenced by those that know how to influence. That's what TV is. It pushes to influence. It pushes you to be the worst you can be, to push you to give as much dirty gossip or negativity or show as your, but what you're seeing is this is a victim kind of abuse. This is a predator called ITV. And all they're doing is looking for victims. They're looking for people. And a classic scenario is get you high up there so you're loved. But all they're interested in is getting you down. So they're going to put you up to kill you, to rip you into pieces. This conversation isn't about Philip Schofield. I don't give a damn about any of those people on TV. It's all false. It always has been. And what's the shock? Everybody knows this. Everybody knows it's lies. It's easy to see. You can feel it through the screen. If you it's so easy to see lie after lie and false. And it's almost like humanity has got so used to it that it's not even something to even consider anymore. You get so used to it. It's like a bully in a playground. The bully's always the bully. You've got used to him, so you don't even bother about him. You just get on with it. So for me, it was like we'd gone to Germany. It was 3 days of treating us very well and filming us, waiting for that one moment where we just slip up. That's what they're waiting for. You can feel it. In fact, it's so sly and so psychologically brutal that they use tactics. They use tactics. The full team use tactics. And they want to know where you're going and what you're doing, and they're kind of spying on you as well. fascinating, really. My story's fascinating. It really is, because at the end of that show, a lot of people don't know this, but at the end of the show, Julie went into the toilets and she didn't come out. That was the lady, the girl who chose me out of the three. And because of what I said and how I behaved, it took quite a few people to get her out of the toilet because she was crying. And her mum and dad was in the audience, and she said to me, "My mum and dad's here." She said, "You know, that was awful." And I said, "Yeah." But the point of the story, because there's a lot more backstory to that story that became one of the, I think it was either that particular episode was the most watched, 11, I think it was 11 to 13 million viewed that show. The reason why is because that week when Blind Date was back on, I was in the chair where they ask you questions about your time together. All it kept repeating is one thing. I looked at the screen and said, she wouldn't know a good time if it slapped her in the face. And throughout the whole of the week, people were coming down to my auction house saying, "Oh my God, Mark, do you know what they're doing on TV? Do you know what they're saying? Have you seen you on TV?" And I'm like, "No, what?" Listen to it. So I got home and switched the TV on, and sure enough, an advert came up and Blind Date this week. And then it didn't. She wouldn't know a good time if it slapped her in the face. And then it went off. And that is, it sums it all up. It sums everything up about TV, about mainstream TV, whether it's BBC, ITV, Channel 4, all of them are the same. They work on this idea that the only thing that's important is ratings. And just like newspapers, it's got to be shock, it's got to be fear, it's got to be hate, never love, never kindness. So this is the devil, really. This is how the industry works. So this idea of people, coming on podcasts saying, "Well, this happens and it's toxic," but everybody in TV and everybody who's jumping on this now knows it's always been like that. Nothing's ever changed. I went on a few different programs when I was younger as well, because I was an antique dealer, and the presenter of one of the shows, I walked away. And I said, "What a disgusting human being." She was absolutely vile to the core. Ego, anger, belittling. Has to be the star of the show. There's no difference. They're all the same, just about. Okay, maybe a few might be different. There might be a few who are different, but they all know exactly how it works. There is no shock. And, everybody knows how TV works if you're in that industry, or if you've even stepped into it like I did. And the truth is, they don't give a damn about anybody. TV is an entity which is an abuser, which sucks the living energy out of you if you are anywhere near it, or it's going to abuse you for its own bloated importance. That's what TV is. Mainstream TV has always been like that. And so is Hollywood. All of it is one big stage show, but it's vile. It's a cesspit. It's a cesspit of lies. The lies of whether it's breakfast TV, whether it's afternoon shows. Sorry, guys, it's toxic, all of it. And it's not how humanity, in my opinion, lives. It's all shock energy. The Kyle show, all of that, all of it, extreme lies and manipulations to get viewership. And you get viewership, then you're going to get the big corporations coming to sponsor by paying you so much money, and then you're in their pocket and you can't say a goddamn thing. And that's why the news is always the same. Censored bullshit that you cannot talk about the injections that are causing damage, because those who pay their wages are the very people who caused the issue to begin with. So going back to leaving, getting into that lift, always remember Scylla smiling at me, and I smile back. And the smile wasn't a smile of thank you very much. It was a smile of excitement, because she knew she was wise, she was sharp, she was savvy. You don't get to that position without being ruthless. And you watch any of them old shows. The one thing I clocked: don't ever try and better or be better than the host. Don't try and pull the host down, because she's going to rip you apart. Why? Because that's what she's been trained to do. That's her job. That's that she didn't get where Scylla didn't get where she got to by being nice. She's had to work hard, and she had to obviously battle through all of that. And she knew where the money was and where the ratings was, or else they'd be thrown out of the door. The only reason why Scylla was on that show for so long, and she was the highest paid presenter in TV, in UK TV, is because she knew how to play the game. So while we were going down in that lift, she didn't need to really say anything. I can just see it. I could just feel it. And what scared me was the fact that she knew something that I didn't know. And when I walked out of that door, and for the next few weeks, I kept wondering what's going to happen. What's going to happen? And of course, the crowd is fickle. All crowds are fickle. When you get 2 people together, 3 people, 10 people together, you get a crowd. They're fickle, and they judge, and that's humanity in its weakest. Judge. So in TV, there is this understanding that within 30 seconds you're judged, and that's it. I've come to disagree with that a little bit, because I think that the judging of I like him or I don't like him, I think is irrelevant now. What I see is that if somebody judges you in 30 seconds and they like you, it's very easy for them to unlike you. If somebody hates you in 30 seconds, then it's going to be a lifetime for them to change their mind on TV. So going down that lift, it was chills, and waiting for the program to come out. All my worst nightmares were coming together, because I realized deep inside me that this was going to be what I call my spiritual experience. This is what I signed up for. And that is to be able to I think I could have easily killed myself at times. I could have easily taken my life. Because if you understand, when you walk out of the door, if 11 million people in the UK saw you and hated you, or let's say, for instance, that there were 6 million, no, I was going to say half and half loved and half hated, but I think it was more 70% hated and 30% loved what I said, because they hated the girl. No other reason. It was I either like you or I don't like you, or I like you and I like her, I don't like her. So there's no logic in it. There's no love in it. It's just the weakest part of humanity. It's the ego. It's all the bad things. And these shows bring out all the bad things. In fact, anything negative brings out the bad things within us. That's why they put negative things on all the time. It brings out the worst in all of us. Oh, he's horrible, I hate him. Let's point the finger. And remember, when you point the finger at somebody, just look how many fingers are pointing back at you. And this is what it's like. It's like people just don't see it. And it's a world of ITV, BBC, judgment. But the biggest part is that everything is covered up. The dark within mainstream, the darkness, the evil, the things that are so bad in there that people don't realize. You look at BBC, you can see, just look outside of the headquarters. Look at that little child. Look at that little child being held by a bigger adult. And who carved that? Who made that sculpture? a paedophile, and so on. And you know, it just continues. It breeds that kind of energy. And I'm not saying everybody in this mainstream is like that, but everybody knows. They all know. They have a conscience. They have feelings. They have intuition. They know. And it doesn't matter what Eamon Holmes says. You just need to feel him when he speaks. I listened to him. Just think about this, guys. He knew. Everybody knows. So if they know, it means they turned a blind eye. And whether they thought they were doing the right thing or not, the real truth is you should have seen it and walked away from it straight away. But they have bills to pay. They have to pay for their children's education. So, okay, better not rock the boat. Better not say anything. I'm going to lose my job. And that's the truth. They won't tell you that. They'll kind of say, oh, well, I knew and I tried to do this and I tried to. No, you didn't really, mate. If you were really true to yourself, you'd have walked straight out of that door and you would have just ended it and looked for something that would have been, in my humble opinion, I would not work in a toxic environment for 1 hour. I'm out of there. So why are you working there? Well, it's obvious. It's to do with money. It's to do with fame. It's to do with contracts. It's to do with all. And that's the nature of the beast. And it is the 666 beast without a doubt. So, you know, I've read for many, many people. I was a psychic here in this village and people from all the world came. I read for many famous people. So I know how it works. I know what they go through. I know the pain and suffering they go through, but most of the pain and suffering is because they might not be where they want to be. They might not have found their true vocation in the sense of what is my path? Who am I? What's my journey? Is it about fame? Is it about fortune? Is it about, you know, TV? Is it about, you know, being noticed on a catwalk? All of that is bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all an illusion. And that illusion takes me to the place where I am now. In fact, let me just show you, because I didn't tell you this, right? The full 7 years of my life after blind date, you could, Kerry Katona talks about the pain that she went through because this guy was so disgusting, as most of them are, to somebody who he obviously had no idea what she was going through. And that's the hypocrisy of a man saying these things at what he's doing day to day is the pinnacle of TV in its fullness. You see nothing but lies, manipulations, and people trying to be something that they are not. And if you attune to that, you can see it's all a lie, everything. But after Blind Date and that show going out, I was straight away, the next day or the following day, the Sun put an article up and it says, I'm the blind date they love to hate. And then their write-up was, rat, Nico, strangers thumps me for humiliating TV partner. That was the write-up in the Sun. So I'll give you a great idea. I just give you an idea of how it works and how television doesn't give they don't care about people. They just care about ratings. From that moment on, the next 7 years, when I went out, I wasn't sure whether I was going to get punched, slapped, beer poured over me, which all happened. I didn't know whether I was somebody was going to be nice to me or somebody was going to be just rude. I got spat at. I got called by groups of girls. I got this big guy. I nearly got a real kicking by this big Rastafarian. He was about to give me a kicking. And I remember being he pulled me down this alley and he said to me, how dare you speak to women like that? And thank God, another guy and a bouncer must have seen what happened and came and stopped it. I was so lucky. I believe it was, it wasn't coincidence, but that happened a few times. In the toilets, I'd get thrown up against the wall. Now imagine going through that for 7 years. And just to point out something else as well, for 12 years, after 12 years of being on blind date, I was on a plane and my partner was with me, Susie. We're no longer together. And the air hostess says, I remember it, you were on blind date. That was after 12 years. Okay. So having all of those years of being abused and mocked, ridiculed constantly, wherever I am, wherever I was, it was like that. I had to deal with that. I didn't take any drugs in the sense of pharmaceutical poisons. I didn't take any of them. I just tried to get through it, and I became stronger and stronger and stronger to this day. That made me realize now that everything that I went through was my kind of like training, because how could you be a healer? How could you be a spiritual reader and not have that strength? Because you go to a different level of mocking and ridicule by the very people that believe that I am a fake and a fraud, by those who said that. And then they believe that nobody else would ever believe what I do. And yet, if they knew the people who came for a psychic reading, a healing, would kind of blow you away. I remember, I'm sure Kerry wouldn't mind me saying this because I don't talk about my client's relationship ever, but I did get a call from, and I got these calls all the time. And one day I just thought, well, is it going to help? Because it was, I don't know, ITV3 or something. I can't remember the name of, I can't remember now the name of the show, but Kerry was doing kind of like the Fly on the Wall documentary. Was it for Can TV? I can't remember. But anyway, so, and they didn't tell me who it was. That's normally what happened. We've got somebody who needs, would like, who really enjoys having psychic readings. I said, well, I am a psychic, but I'm also a healer and I like doing healing sessions. Anyway, well, would you be able to fit her in? And I said, well, is this about helping? Because I'm only here to help. It's not about stage show. It's not about TV. And they said, no, this is serious. And I'm like, yeah, well, I know exactly what serious means with you guys. And this woman was absolutely very nice. And I thought, well, if it's going to help, okay. Anyway, this is basically the only time I ever did it. After that, never again did I entertain it. I only did it the once. And this lady walked up and I gave her a reading, and there was a couple of people that were already in there ready to film, right? So I wasn't bothered. I used to let people record and write anything down. That never bothered me because I got nothing to hide. So you do what you want. But I really focused on this beautiful angel, and there was a lot of love, and she was a nice girl, and it was actually Kerry Katona. And after the 1 hour reading, funnily enough, the camera crew and the sound crew all said, "Is it okay if we have a reading?" That was funny. Anyway, it never got aired because I have a belief system that I'm protected and loved, and that at that point, I think, Kerry, it's all in the public domain anyway. Something happened and the show didn't continue for various reasons. Not my pig, not my farm, but it never got aired. So it was never on mainstream TV. Thank God. Looking back now, thank you guys. Thank you so much. But getting back to this idea of, we all need to talk about the fact that we need to help people who go on TV. Let me tell you, if you go on TV, you're going to set yourself up as an abuser. And that is the truth. And you're going to be chewed up and spat out. And that's the way it works. It's always worked like that. It's always been like that. You will never get the truth because they don't give you time to speak your truth. You can never really go in depth into anything because they say, oh, we've only got so much time. That's nothing to do with so much time. It's to do with exactly how it works. TV is a lie. It's always been a lie. It only gives you sound bites, which then is the ingredient of the narcissistic energy of TV. And it keeps people in a place of addiction, in cold turkey, ready for the next hit, so that we become so lobotomized that we cannot hold conversations, we cannot have real discussions, we cannot have the truth, and we cannot have real debate. And that is, my friends, TV. It is a cesspit. It's always been a cesspit. And let me tell you something. This ITV is all bullshit. And what will happen is it will continue being a cesspit. There will be changes just to please people. There will be this and that happening, but it will go back to the original cesspit, evil, narcissistic, horrible lies and abuse that it is and always will be. And any mainstream media TV works on that principle. It's shock. It's deliberate. And that's the way it is. And that's my truth. So here's my two penneth. Stay away from mainstream media. Even better, get your TV and throw it away. And you'll find that you'll never have a virus again. You'll never feel sick. You'll never feel depressed. And start to work on yourself. Start to meditate a bit. Start to self-heal. Start to ask yourself what your life is about. Who gives a shit about anybody on TV? Do you think they give a shit about you? All they're interested in is if you're watching them, if you care about them, to inflate their ego. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Kerry Katoni said that. She was in it. I don't know why it popped up, but it popped up on my news feed. I don't even know who this new company is, Britain First or something like that. And she's just calling it out. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. She knows it's bullshit. But that's the game they're in, all of them. And it's a cesspit. It's like when I used to read for Hollywood, A-listers, B-listers, C-listers, they're just clamming. They're just desperate. They're just, it's the energy that is within all of this illusion of fame and fortune. And most of these people are complete and utter actors. That's why they act. Nothing is real. It's an illusion. So why would you watch an illusion? Why would you watch half-truths? Why would you watch abuse on TV? Why would you want to be part of something that is deliberately wanting you to be addicted to it, and it's only giving you the most awful things day in, day out? Why aren't they talking about love? Why aren't they talking about meditation? Why aren't they talking about healing? Why aren't they talking about food? Why aren't they talking about sudden deaths? Why aren't they talking about all the things that we talk about, which is normal life, that is about helping humanity grow and feel better, protecting humanity from all the wrong things? They can't. They can't, because all the wrong things is what keeps that show going, because all those corporations that pay billions or millions every month to keep that show going are the very ones that are causing the suffering in this world. And that is the truth. That is the truth. So get your TV and throw it away. Stop looking at people's clothes and what they're wearing on TV and what they're talking about, because you know what? You're wasting your life away, and you're not here to waste your life away on famous people and what they're wearing and what makeup they've got on and how they look. That is just the end of your life when you take your last breath. And I've seen this many times in hospital. And I give somebody a healing session. They say, I never knew. I never knew. Meaning that I got it all wrong. Have a great day, guys. Love you all. If you're anywhere around for tonight, we're going to do a Moldavite workshop. That's interesting. So I'll see you then. Take care of yourself. TV. What a joke. Have a great day, guys.